fatherlessness, and importantly, what families and communities can do to help young people become stronger and break this cycle. Please help me welcome Phozisa Khwazi from TM Counseling to deep dive into the pandemic that is fatherlessness, which has become a scourge of our communities across South Africa. Phozisa Molo, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How does growing up without a father figure affect a child's emotional development, identity formation, and attachment patterns?
Thank you for that question, Mrs. Penny. As I was preparing for my show today, I was looking at, how every second South African, is affected by this topic and how it has shaped or helped us to be the people that we are, or also has not helped us to be the people that we are. So we are looking at things like, how the environment impacts one's well-being, from how I see myself. So if I'm in a space where I have not been exposed to a father figure, it becomes quite difficult, especially for boy child, to be able to understand what it means to be masculine.
Okay.
What it
so
means.
how so and how different is it for a boy child versus a girl child? What are the, differences that we can specifically identify?
Mostly in boys, you would see that they would be acting out, to say that I don't know how to be the young man that I am expected to be because I don't have a role model within my home. And so this would be seeking validation, from outside peers or outside people that in most times would have a negative impact.
Okay.
And for girls, it would mostly be seeking validation, from those that are around, people pleasing, overachieving, and things like that. So it differs because mostly for boys it's that I am looking for a sense of belonging, and for girls I am looking for validation.
Validation and a sense of belonging. Generally, boys are risk takers. Does it mean that they become more reckless? Okay, does it mean that?
It does not necessarily mean that, but there is a high risk because I don't have anyone who has modeled the healthy behaviors, not necessarily to say that someone that models how it means to be a man, but who at least brings in that form of this is how we should be, so how that also starts to make the child, because they are still developing, they are still trying to form an identity. When they don't have that identity formation, it becomes difficult for them, to understand what it means.
All right, as a country, we're dealing with about 500,000 or so children who are dealing with parents who are, behind bars, according to correctional services. Obviously, this is a cycle that is continuing in our nation. How do we break that? Is there something that we can do?
That's a bit of a tricky one, because the environment has an impact on how you interact or how you behave, how you think, and also how you plan out your next step, especially in life, So when now I am in a space where there is a lot of positive reinforcements, it becomes easier for me to look at life in a different perspective. Whereas the very same child who's in a space where there is no role models, there isn't a lot of positive reinforcement, they are more likely to be in a space where they are taking decisions that are highly reckless. They are also in a space where they are more prone, to explore the environment in risky ways. So it's not easy to say that, we can necessarily break those chains or those cycles, but what we can do is try to have those positive role models, encouraging the child, so this would also be going in things like affirmations, being able to encourage the child to take, part in sports, to be able to be a part of a community that is outside of the home environment, because that's where most of the children are exposed to the primary behaviors of parents, which also model how it would be like, going forth.
Okay, children are to be protected, right? But here we are in a home where a father is absent. We want them to develop, emotionally well and to be stable so that they can be successful adults. Psychologically, what do we need to understand? Because I think one of the things that we struggle with is is understanding the back end of what is happening in this child. You know, and then it's easy for us as mothers and as families, aunties, I mean, to say, you know, so-and-so also grew up without a father, who's over right, or, you know, you're okay. What is going on with the child, you know, in their wiring?
Children function best when there is consistency.
Okay.
You know, show up is another sweet. You know, if every day I come back from work, you know, I come back with that sweet, you know, a child starts to learn consistency, you know, that this is reliable. This is someone that I can, you know, trust, because it's within those little steps. And also what happens within a child when they start feeling like there is a lot of inconsistency, they start to internalize. And when they start to internalize, it starts sending messages of that, am I the problem? You know, am I worth, you know, staying for if the father is not there, you know? So it's quite important that we as the adults around our kids, we provide consistency, which leads to the emotional stability, and also that leads to positive or healthy self-esteem for a child, because there is one person who is consistent. It depends the connection between parent and child.
Okay. You know, a lot of parents, and it's also very difficult parenting the child of today because they're so exposed to so much information and they know the emotions that are good for them and all of those things and their rights. And a lot of parents are struggling to navigate that. A lot of young women, obviously, you want to help them not to be going out there seeking, you know, this validation. You also want to make sure that issues of identity, you know, in relationships and getting into healthy relationships versus unhealthy. So when there's an absence of a father, how do I navigate that as whoever a parent I am, whether I'm a grandmother, an aunt, you know, or a mother in this environment where we're raising this child in this modern day?
So in most times, you know, with the clients that I see at TM counseling, I would mostly look at, you know, to say that what is the one goal that I have for myself. Let's say now I'm seeing a grown-up, you know, who had an absent father, to say that what did that mean for you, you know, and taking it from that angle, it makes it much easier to start seeing those gaps, to say that me as a parent, what is it that I want to achieve for my child, because I went through that experience. And in going through that experience, it means that I need to look out, you know, what are the things that I need to teach my child, you know. For example, learning about the importance of self-worth. You know, self-worth is not attached to, you know, outside validation, but rather comes from, you know. And also looking at, you know, things around to say that, how do I want to change my own narrative, you know? So this would be going back into the core beliefs that I have about myself, you know, the patterns that I saw within my family, identifying those things. It makes it much easier for me to pinpoint, you know, what is the pattern that I need to break, you know, and how do I come back now and also say that this is me as Posy, for example. This is me outside of seeking validation from others, because I am able to be in a space that allows me to have that emotional safety, which is very important, especially looking at today's society, that there is a lot of validation that comes from
instant
outside.
gratification. You know, people. I mean, as you were talking, I'm thinking, all these people acting out because, you know, their fathers were not present. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but the reality of it is that some of those factors that you're highlighting is what we're seeing with grown-ups. And then if we took time to get into conversations with them and find out a lot of layered issues that have led to their behavior that they project. It's a very broad conversation, and I think that we think we should continuously have in different ways, in different spaces, men, women, children, adults, across, so we can be able to get our nation to a better place of healing. Posy, thank you so much all the time for coming through and be part of our conversations here on Eintlek. Let's connect.